McCain's role in fake Trump dossier revealed. Senator John McCain hasn't been shy about detracting from the Trump administration after him and the president had several public battles that ended in harsh insults on each side. Then came the chance to appeal Obamacare, and when McCain sided with Dems, we knew exactly why. Not that the brain cancer-stricken senator is worried about future votes, but he's going to take another massive hit from conservatives after they find out what his role was with the discredited, fake news Trump dossier. This is huge. Breitbart reports. Gilad, Israel. The founders of the controversial opposition research firm Fusion GPS admitted that they helped the researcher hired to compile the infamous, largely discredited 35-page dossier on President Donald Trump to share the document with Senator John McCain. The goal of providing the dossier to McCain, the Fusion GPS founders explained, was to pass the information contained in the questionable documents to the U.S. intelligence community under the Obama administration. The disclosure raises questions about whether McCain knew that the information he delivered to the intelligence community was actually an opposition document reportedly funded by the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee. McCain's office did not reply yesterday to a Breitbart News request for comment on the matter. Last December, it was revealed that it was McCain who notoriously passed the controversial dossier documents produced by the Washington opposition research firm Fusion GPS to then FBI Director James Comey, whose agency reportedly utilized the dossier as a basis for its probe into alleged Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. Writing in a New York Times up last Tuesday, Fusion GPS founders Glenn R. Simpson and Peter Fritsch relate that they helped McCain share their anti-Trump dossier with the intelligence community via an emissary. After the election, Mr. Steele decided to share his intelligence with Senator John McCain via an emissary, the Fusion GPS founders related. We helped him do that. The goal was to alert the United States national security community to an attack on our country by a hostile foreign power. It was not clear from their statement whether McCain knew Fusion GPS was behind the dossier. Fusion GPS paid former intelligence agent Christopher Steele to do the purported research for the document. Steele later conceded in court documents that part of his work still needed to be verified. Breitbart News sent the following questions to McCain's office but did not receive a reply before press time. Given that Fusion GPS is openly an opposition research firm, did Senator McCain know that he was sharing political opposition research on Trump with the intel community? Did he know the dossier was partially funded by the DNC and Hillary Clinton's campaign? In October, the Washington Post reported that in April 2016, attorney Mark Elias and his law firm, Perkins Coie, retained Fusion GPS to conduct the questionable anti-Trump work on behalf of both the Clinton campaign and the DNC. Through Perkins Coie, Clinton's campaign and the DNC continued to fund Fusion GPS until October 2016, days before Election Day, the Post reported. On January 10th, CNN was first to report, based on leaked information, that the contents of the dossier were presented during classified briefings 1 week earlier to then-President Obama and President-elect Trump. Just after CNN's January 10th report on the classified briefings about the dossier, BuzzFeed published its full unverified contents. In October, McCain denied providing the dossier to BuzzFeed and said that he only gave the material to the FBI. I gave it to no one except for the director of the FBI. I don't know why you're digging this up now, McCain told the Daily Caller during what the news website described as a testy exchange. While the Fusion GPS sheds some light on the manner in which McCain obtained the dossier, the Fusion founders did not name the emissary who delivered the document to McCain. A January 11th statement from McCain attempted to explain why he provided the documents to the FBI but did not mention how he came to possess the dossier or whether he knew who funded it. Upon examination of the contents, and unable to make a judgment about their accuracy, I delivered the information to the director of the FBI, McCain said at the FBI or any other government agency regarding this issue. Sir Andrew Wood, a former British ambassador to Moscow, said McCain first consulted him about the claims inside the dossier at a security conference in Canada shortly after last November's presidential election. Wood stated that McCain had obtained the documents from the senator's own sources. I told him I was aware of what was in the report, but I had not read it myself, that it might be true. It might be untrue. I had no means of judging really, Wood further told BBC Radio 4 in January. Last month, Wood related that he served as a go-between to inform McCain about the dossier contents. My mission was essentially to be a go-between and a messenger, to tell the senator and assistants that such a dossier existed, Wood told Fox News. In March, Vanity Fair raised questions about the alleged involvement of David J. Kramer, a former State Department official, in helping to obtain the dossier directly from Steele. The issue was also raised in a lawsuit filed against Steele by one of the individuals named in the dossier. The dossier contains wild and unproven claims that the Russians had information regarding Trump and sordid sexual acts, including the widely mocked claim that Trump hired prostitutes and had them urinate on a hotel room bed. It also claimed there was an exchange of information between Trump surrogates and intermediaries for the Russian government. Those allegations remain unsubstantiated following numerous public hearings. Indeed, former CIA Director John Brennan made clear in testimony last May that after viewing all of the evidence that was available to him on the Russia probe, he is not aware of any collusion between Russia and members of Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. Dossier was reportedly basis for Obama administration moves. According to the BBC, the dossier served as a roadmap for the FBI's investigation into claims of coordination between Moscow and members of Trump's presidential campaign during the Obama administration. In April, CNN reported that the dossier served as part of the FBI's justification for seeking the FISA court's reported approval to clandestinely monitor the communications of Carter Page, the American oil industry investor who was tangentially and briefly associated with Trump's presidential campaign. Senior Republican members of the Senate Judiciary Committee have reportedly requested that the FBI and Department of Justice turn over applications for any warrants to monitor the communications of U.S. citizens associated with the investigation into alleged Russia interference in the 2016 presidential election. In testimony last May, former FBI Director James Comey repeatedly refused to answer questions about his agency's ties to the dossier. In further testimony to the U.S. Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, Comey admitted he pushed back against a request from President Donald Trump to possibly investigate the origins of salacious material that the agency possessed in the course of its investigation into alleged Russian interference. Dossier discredited. Major questions have been raised as to the veracity of the dossier, large sections of which have been discredited. Citing a Kremlin insider, the dossier, which misspelled the name of Russian diplomats, claimed that Trump lawyer Michael Cohen held secret meetings with Kremlin officials in Prague in August 2016. That charge unraveled after Cohen revealed he had never traveled to Prague, calling the story totally fake, totally inaccurate. The Atlantic confirmed Cohen's whereabouts in New York and California during the period the dossier claimed that Cohen was in Prague. Cohen reportedly produced his passport showing he had not traveled to Prague. In testimony in May, the FBI's Comey confirmed that the basis for the intelligence community's assessment that Russia allegedly wanted Trump in office was not because the billionaire was, as Senator Al Franken, DMN, claimed during a hearing, ensnared in Russia's web of patronage, just as the dossier alleged. Instead, the FBI chief provided two primary reasons for Russia's alleged favoring of Trump over Clinton during the 2016 presidential race. One reason, according to Comey, was that Putin hated Clinton and would have favored any Republican opponent. The second reason, Comey explained, was that Putin made an assessment that it would be easier to make a deal with a businessman than someone from the political class. Comey's statements are a far cry from the conspiracies fueled by the dossier alleging Putin held blackmail information on Trump. Citing current and former government officials, The New Yorker reported the dossier prompted skepticism among intelligence community members, with the publication quoting one member saying it was a nutty piece of evidence to submit to a U.S. president. Steele's work has been questioned by former acting CIA Director Michael Morell, who currently works at the Hillary Clinton Tide Beacon Global Strategies LLC. NBC News reported on Morell's questions about Steele's credibility. Morell, who was in line to become CIA director if Clinton won, said he had seen no evidence that Trump associates cooperated with Russians. He also raised questions about the dossier written by a former British intelligence officer, which alleged a conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia. Morell pointed out that former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper said on Meet the Press on March 5th that he had seen no evidence of a conspiracy when he left office January 20th. That's a pretty strong statement by General Clapper, Morell said. Regarding Steele's dossier, Morell stated, "Unless you know the sources, and unless you know how a particular source acquired a particular piece of information, you can't judge the information, you just can't." Morell charged the dossier doesn't take you anywhere, I don't think. I had two questions when I first read it. One was, how did Chris talk to these sources? I have subsequently learned that he used intermediaries.